everyone, my name's Taylor Rivera, and I am excited to share my story with you on why I am FCA. For me, there was no before I knew Christ. I was raised in a faithful household. We went to church together every Sunday. We did family Bible studies growing up. And so I always knew Christ. I knew who he was. I knew that he came and he died for my sins. And I knew all of the miracles that God and Jesus did throughout the Bible, all the main stories. But my faith was not mine for a very long time. My faith was my parents, and I did it out of routine because that's what you do. And growing up, especially in high school, I started to pull away from faith for a couple of reasons. One, I have really bad FOMO. I have a fear of missing out, and I felt like faith was keeping me from having fun and doing certain activities and doing things with my friends. And then also I saw hypocrisy in the church. So people that praise the Lord with everything in them and raise their hands on Sunday in worship would live completely different lives come Monday. And that never sat well with me. And I didn't want to be one of those people. So I took a step back from faith starting in high school and continuing into college. So for me, college was my lowest point. I purposely chose to avoid faith. I chose things that I knew were wrong because I had FOMO, because I feared missing out, because I wanted to have worldly fun. And looking back, it cost me a lot, but I did always choose to go to this group called FCA. I went weekly sophomore, junior, and senior year. And even though I wasn't ready to claim faith, I wasn't ready to walk in faith. This group of athletes that got together to talk about faith kept me at least a little bit grounded, and eventually gave me the opportunity to go on 2 mission trips. Both of them were life-changing, but for very different reasons. The first one I went on was junior year. I went with some teammates and we met a lot of amazing people from the community and from different schools. And it was what you think about when you do mission work. You go down there, we painted houses, we dug footers, we played with the kids, we went to the community churches, and you just leave feeling good. And so when the opportunity came around senior year, I couldn't pass it up. But I quickly realized that this one was very different. I didn't go down there. God didn't bring me down there to have fun and to impact people. He brought me down there to impact me and to isolate me and make me face everything that I've done, everything that I chose, and made me face what my next steps were. So it was on May 19th, 2015 that I, for the first time, experienced what I really needed in my life. And we were at a small village on the train tracks in Atomayor, and we went there, we played with some of the kids, we painted some of the houses that day, and we were packing up, getting ready to leave. And pretty much the whole trip I was asking God, why would you bring me down here? Why would you do this to me? Why would you isolate me like this? Like, I can't handle this. And long story short, I was giving this little girl in the village a piggyback ride, and she started just praising God. In Spanish, I didn't really understand much of it, but I did know that she was praising God. And I just looked around me and I was like, how can this little girl in this village be praising God like this? Like, she has nothing and she's so happy and fulfilled and grateful. And I have so much and I'm empty and sad and broken. And I just, in that moment, said, God, I need you. I need you in my life. I give my life over to you. And obviously things didn't change immediately, but I, in that moment, chose my faith. After I made that decision to start walking in faith and growing in my faith again, I went home from that mission trip. I broke up with my boyfriend. I told my parents that I wanted to grow in faith and that I chose God and I am choosing to be and live a faithful life. But I also told them not to tell people. As I experienced early on in my faith, I didn't want to be a hypocrite and I knew I was going to fail. And I wanted to grow and I wanted to tell people on my own time. And so at first it was only a couple of people that I asked to pray for me and for my journey. And then I joined a summer small group at my church and I met one of my very good friends, Michelle, and we continued small group together for 4 years, and she helped me grow in so many different ways, and she challenged me in many different ways, and she became a confidant. And then I chose, I think it was 2 years later, to be baptized, rebaptized in my church. And that was very special because I chose my dad to baptize me for a couple of reasons. One, he is a very faithful man and he leads our family very faithfully. And I first had to ask my mom because I didn't want her to feel as if I didn't want her to. If I could have had 2 people baptize me, I would have had both of my parents because they impacted me greatly. But as the leader of our family, I had my dad rebaptize me, which was very special. And I continued to go to small group. I continued to teach, and now I coach at Pittsford Sutherland. And one thing that I'm continuing to grow in is how do I share my faith with my students, and how do I share my faith with my athletes, and how do I show them that it's okay to fail as long as you continue to try. And failing isn't always hypocritical. It's not always hypocrisy when you see people in the church failing. And I now think back to some of the experiences I had early on, and I realized that people are people, and we can't compare ourselves horizontally. We have to compare ourselves vertically. So am I doing what God is asking of me? Am I doing and living in a way that Jesus lived? And that is about me and my heart, not about the person or people next to me. And even though the people that we walk with is important, I can't compare myself in my journey to them because that's not my model. That's not the model that Jesus left for me. Jesus left his life as my model, and that is what I should be comparing my journey to and trying to live up to is his example of faith. So now my life with Christ looks very different than my life before him. Before I chose him, I continue to go to small group. I continue to go to church and learn through the people around me. But I've also learned that I can't compare myself horizontally. I can't compare myself to the people around me. I have to compare myself vertically. I have to compare myself to the model that Jesus left for me and what he expects and wants out of my life, because that's what's truly important. I also know that this faith thing, it's a journey, it's not a destination. So there's never like a point where you stop learning or you stop growing or you stop failing. You're always going to be on this journey of learning and growing and failing. And as long as we keep going back to God and keep going back to Christ and his model for us, and living a life based on the model of Jesus, that I'm going to be in a better place. I have hope and faith that no matter what is on this side of heaven, that heaven is going to be insurmountably better than anything that I have to face here. And having confidence in that and being able to rest in that, especially in these times, brings a definite sense of peace. And I also know that now that I know what God's love, grace, and mercy looks like, I can be a mirror of that for other people as well. I show grace more, I show love more, I show more mercy. And even though I'm still learning and growing in that, I'm leaps and bounds ahead of where I was. And my life is way more fulfilled. I am a teacher, I am a coach, I am a wife, I'm a better sister and daughter. And FCA has also been a part of that, and I didn't even really realize how much of a part it played until I looked back and realized that in college it changed my life, and now I have the wonderful opportunity of coaching at FCA volleyball camps and learning and growing as a coach and how to share my faith with my students and my athletes. And that's just amazing how it's come full circle. So thank you for listening to my story, and hopefully now see why I am FCA.